Well, welcome everybody. This is Troy Fullwood with Pinnacle Investments, and I want to share with you today on this webinar how to tap into and grab your slice of a $580 billion real estate note opportunity. And I'm calling this Non-Performing Note Pro. For those of you who've always wanted to be in the space of real estate notes and have been intrigued by it, or have been maybe done a little bit here and a little bit there, today is your day. And I'm going to share with you how and what is going on in this side of the business. Okay, the note business is somewhat similar to the brick and mortar business in the sense that there are niches within niches in the real estate note investing environment, and just like there are niches within brick and mortar real estate. You can be a fix and flip type investor. You can be a luxury home investor. You can be a rental home investor. So there are different areas that you can kind of gravitate towards and build a business around it. But today, I want to talk to you about a $580 billion opportunity. And to put that into perspective, if you put it into perspective, the REO market opportunity nationwide is only about a $4 billion opportunity. And I might be overestimating that. So let's just say between 3 and 4 billion. But even if you went with a $4 billion estimate, that's still a lot lower opportunity pool to pull from than the non-performing note business. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I want to bring some credible things to the table right out of the gate, so you know that what I'm talking about is live and real and here in front of us right now. And what I mean by that is, let me pull up, let me start with, hold on, I'm going to change screens. It'll just take me just a second to do that. Hold on. I know right out of the gate, I'm already changing screens on you. So, but you're going to appreciate this. You're going to appreciate this. You really are. All right. So right here in front of us, we've got Freddie Mac selling $1 billion of loans in the largest deal. And this is on Bloomberg Business. So you can go to Bloomberg Business right now and you can see what is going, and you can read this entire article. But it says right now, right here in the first paragraph, Freddie Mac is selling more than $1 billion of sourced U.S. home loans in its largest sale of debt. Potential buyers are bidding on 3 pools of non-performing loans with unpaid principal balances of $660 million, $249 million, and $125 million, according to debt broker Mission Capital Advisors. Homes tied to loans in the smallest group are all located in New York, while properties linked to the other 2 pools are geographically depressed. Offers are due March 24th. So this has all been taking place. Okay, this is going on. It's right here in front of us. Now I want to share with you another credible source, and this is an industry publication called DS News. Okay, and DS News shows right here we've got all kinds of stuff going on here. Fannie Mae announced on Thursday that it will be offering up pools for sale of non-performing single-family mortgage loans to interested buyers in an effort to clear out deeply delinquent loans from its portfolio. The GSE said in an announcement that it will be targeting nonprofit organizations, smaller investors, and minority and women-owned businesses for some of the NPL purchases. Okay, so whether you're using the language NPL or non-performing notes, it means the same exact thing. Okay, it's 2 different ways of referring to a segment of the investing business. Now, I'm not going to read this whole entire article, but you can scroll down here and you can see this looks like 4th or 5th paragraph. It says, in the last 8 months, it said, while Freddie Mac has sold 3 bundles of NPNs in the last 8 months, totaling $2 billion in aggregate unpaid principal balance, the last such sale, conducted in late March, featured 3 pools consisting of about 5,400 NPLs with an aggregate unpaid balance of $985 billion. So that's referring back to the Bloomberg report. Okay, so they deleted, or they sold worth, looks like a total of close to $3 billion worth of non-performing loans into the marketplace. Okay, $3 billion. Now that's a huge amount of product going into the marketplace. And when you compare that to that of REOs, the space is just opening up and the floodgates are opening up in that space. Why is that? Well, because there were some things that happened back in 2008, 2007, 8, 9 time frame, where a lot of things kind of got kicked down the road to 2015 and 16. And this is one of those things that got kicked down the road simply because they didn't know how to deal with it back then. And they wanted to kind of get an idea of how things were going to work out. In other words, they wanted to test some things out, meaning modification, short sales, and all of those things that took place. And then once the dust kind of settled in those areas and they'd worked through the challenges, they had successes, they had failures, they had shortfalls. They've had massive earnings backed by taxpayer money and all those things. And I'm not trying to ruffle anybody's feathers by using those types of words, because I'm a taxpayer just like you, and I didn't appreciate that. Now the opportunity is coming back at us on a silver platter. Okay, coming back at us on a huge silver platter. And I hear this statement a lot in real estate circles. All the shadow inventory is gone, according to the news. That's a true statement if you're buying REOs, but it's not if you're working in the NPN market space. Now, this here are the two links that I just showed you, okay, to the Bloomberg article and the DS News article. So I'm not going to go back to that. I've gotten a little bit ahead of myself because I was, to be honest with you, I'm pumped. I'm excited about what we're going to talk about today. Because to me, it's like fish in a barrel. It's like fish in a barrel. And that when those things happen in the real estate world, I know that there's huge life-changing opportunities that are going to be presented to everybody. Okay, that are going to be presented to everybody. And the people that are prepared to take advantage of those opportunities will be the ones that reap the largest benefits from those opportunities. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. Okay, and you can go back and read those articles on your own time. I mean, they're not real long or lengthy, but I didn't want to spend our time on today's call going that direction. So, based on the government website, www.federalreserve.gov, and there's the URL if you want to write that down. Okay, http://www.federalreserve.gov, echo res data /releases /mortgage and /current HTM. You can go to that website and you can see mortgage data. Okay, mortgage data nationwide, and it's everything. It's like all the above. Okay, everything to do with mortgages. And as of the first quarter of 2015, there were over $10.2 trillion in residential mortgages that had been originated and are currently in place throughout all the banking institutions nationwide. Throughout all the banking institutions nationwide, and that includes private sector, that includes the banking sector, that includes the Wall Street sector, that includes savings and loans, or is that right? Yes. No, not. I'm sorry, credit unions. That includes everything. Okay, and what they do is they track the origination part of it, and then they track the people that have paid off and have been quote unquote refied and stuff like that. So there's new loans coming, there's old loans getting washed out every week. There's over $10.2 trillion in residential mortgages. There's almost as many residential mortgages as there is U.S. debt. Okay, almost as many U.S. mortgages as there is U.S. debt. Now, at one time, there was more mortgages than there was U.S. debt, which is actually a great balance. But now we've kind of gotten all flip-flopped on that aspect of it. But there's also $919 billion in apartment mortgages, so multifamily. And then there's also $2.3 trillion in commercial loans in the category of all types, meaning everything from land to office buildings, to hospitals, to churches, to strip malls, to you name it. That comes under that category. The question I have for everybody is, which is a bigger pond to fish in? Okay, which is a bigger pond to fish in? And I'm going to let you guys think about that as we go through this webinar. I'm going to let you answer that on your own. But also, there's some additional information. Fed Board of Governors reports that FDIC-insured banks continue to experience a residential real estate delinquency rate of 8.17% through the last quarter of 2014. As of January 2015, CoreLogic estimates a NPN inventory of 1.9 million properties in the U.S. The value of such inventory, CoreLogic estimates to be $264 billion. The Mortgage Bankers Association has estimated that industry-wide, between banks, hedge funds, and institutional investors like pension funds, there exists more than $580 billion in available non-performing note inventory to be parceled out over the next several years, which makes this opportunity larger than any other segment of the real estate investing industry. Okay, when you compare this segment as a street-level investor, okay, as a street-level investor, as a street-level participant in the real estate world, this is by far the largest opportunity in the space, compared to REOs, compared to multifamily, compared to anything. This is the largest opportunity in that space. So I'm a couple minutes into this webinar, and you may be asking, who's Troy Fullwood? Well, I've been a principal real estate note investor since 1997 with over 18 plus years in the business. I've closed over $1 billion in real estate note transactions, and I've successfully raised over $30 million of seed capital for my own distressed private equity fund that operated with an IRR of 92+% return for the fund and their partners. I just recently launched a new distressed non-performing note fund with access to more than $100 million in capital, but I'll tell you more about this later. This is my why, okay? And I'm going to be real just straightforward with everybody. This industry is not a get-rich-quick industry, and I don't want anybody to hear that as I talk today. I'm going to share with you how you can be very, very successful, but I'm also going to share with you that it takes effort. And when you're putting effort into anything in life, you've got to have a driving force behind that. And it's what I call my why. Well, my why is this, and it's my family. Now, you guys may have heard this time and time again on webinars from everybody from the East Coast to the West Coast when they do their webinars. But the truth is, it is for me. Okay, I don't know what it is for everybody else, but it is for me. At the end of the day, I can make a lot of money. I can lose a lot of money. I can do a lot of things in this world, but the one thing I can't do is I can't replace my family. And so I love being around my family. As a matter of fact, we operate our company out of a home office simply so I can spend more time with my family as a whole. And we operate a very large company out of our home office. Okay, and I like it that way. I used to have offices on Park Avenue. I used to have offices here in the Chandler area. And we had office buildings and a lot of overhead and people and things of that nature. And I got away from all of that because I figured out a better way to manage the growth of the company and to create higher returns by outsourcing and bringing on other third-party individuals that had an invested interest in a game plan like myself. That way I could spend more time with my why. The first gentleman there on that left-handed picture is Hunter. And he's my 14-year-old. He happens to be holding Parker, who's our baby twin, the baby of the family. There's me standing next to my beautiful wife, Kim. And then the guy in the red shirt, that's Jack. He's my 11-year-old. And he happens to be holding Camden, who's my oldest of the two twins. And Camden and Parker are a little over 2 years old now. And this is probably when they were about a year old at this age. Okay. So why are the banks selling? Why is Fannie Mae selling? Well, it's simple. They can no longer handle the massive amount of defaults that they are having to address today, and the record number of balloon defaults that they'll face over the next 2 to 5 years. In addition, the majority of the properties have negative equity in them, so there's nothing for them to go after. Okay, when you're a lender and you originate a loan, and that loan turns into a negative equity situation, it doesn't benefit you to go after that homeowner, because you're essentially and simply just throwing good money after bad every single day. So the truth be known, what happens is they sell those loans off. Now, as I mentioned in just a moment ago, about the federal government kicking the can down the road. Okay, they kicked the can down the road to 2015, 2016, and that was a political move. I mean, it was very, very much a political move, as you know, for the Democrats and even for the Republicans. But at the end of the day, we're now here on that day, on that opportunity. And not only are we here, but now the media is getting their hands on it, saying, yes, we are here. Okay, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. So now you've got reinforced, how do you say, reinforced, what's the word I'm looking for? Evidence, reinforced evidence that, hey, this is here. Okay, now here comes this opportunity. And the fact that the Fannie Mae's sold, $2 billion, they've released $2 billion in the marketplace. Now they just released another $1 billion. And I don't know what their timeline is for the rest of the year, because they keep a lot of that stuff relatively close to their chest. But I can almost guarantee you they'll probably release another $2 to $4 billion between now and the end of this year alone. That's going to be a ton of product in the market space. And it'll be so much product in the market space that not any one single buyer can ever take a hold of it and get on it and make it happen. Here's the other thing that happens with this, is that when a buyer comes in, especially in the Fannie Mae environment, they'll typically be required to buy the entire portfolio or that segment. Well, they don't buy it because they love it. They buy it because they love parts of it. Okay, parts of it. So a lot of times what you'll find is you'll find Fannie Mae, then you'll find a Wall Street hedge fund that'll come in and buy the entire thing. They'll just strike a check. But then they'll go in there and they'll say, okay, we bought 1,000 loans, but really out of the 1,000 loans, we only want 400 loans. So then they'll immediately turn around and sell off the other 400 loans and put that out to street level investors. Why do they do that? Because they want to take the cream of the crop for themselves, which are typically based off of $250,000 homes and above. Okay, and above. That tends to be their benchmark in that space, which is perfectly okay, because there's a lot of good homes that are $249,000 and below in the market space to create opportunity. So that's what happens when you're dealing with those large institutional trades. But the reality of it is you let them go in and get what they want, and then and I can tell you from experience, they're going to turn around, they're going to push this stuff into the market space over the course of the next 4 to 5 months. And the people that are going to benefit from it are the ones that are positioned to benefit from it. Okay, positioned to benefit from it. So there's 3 proven ways to profit in the NPN market spaces. It's what number 1 I call lump sum paydays. Number 2, monthly income, and number 3, equity kickers. Okay, every non-performing note you can in note pool, there's 3 different opportunities that you can benefit from, and so can any other note buyer. So I'm going to break it down and show you what I mean by that. The first way you benefit in the business of non-performing residential notes is also the fastest way to make money, is to play matchmaker with NPNs by flipping a pool of non-performing notes to cash-rich hedge funds and private equity funds that are seeking to invest in them. Okay, that are seeking to invest in them. So number 1, and this is for those people who are listening who don't have any money. Okay, maybe they live in paycheck to paycheck. You got a little money in savings, you got a little money over here in your 401k, but you don't have $1 million. You don't have $2 million. That's okay. I didn't have that kind of money when I got started either in the space. But my point here in sharing this with you is that this is a very, very viable method to, one, developing relationships with hedge funds and buyers, and then number two, financially compensating yourself very, very well. And so the number one, cash up front, you can make 1 point or more, also known as 1%, up front in just using this one method. Now, it ranges anywhere from 1 point to 3 points depending upon the size of the portfolio. Keep in mind that the bigger the portfolio gets, the smaller the percentage you're going to make, but the larger the commission you're going to make on the deal. Okay, so yeah, you may have to settle for a 0.5%, but the portfolio is a $50 million portfolio or a $70 million portfolio, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with making a 0.5% on a $70 million portfolio. That's $350,000. That would put you in the top 2% of income earners in the nation if you just did one of those deals a year. So don't get so fixated on, well, 1%, 2%, 3%. Troy said you could do this. The reality of it is every portfolio is going to be different as a whole. Okay, I've done deals as small as 0.1% when I would flip note portfolios. I would do deals as small as 0.1%. Now, why would I do that? Well, the portfolios we were flipping, we were talking $500 million portfolios. They were huge portfolios at the time, and we were flipping them over to Wall Street. And so Wall Street would pay us anywhere between 1/8 and 0.1%. Well, you do the math on that, and you find out, hey, that's a pretty nice payday for not having to take on any financial risk and not having to produce any reps and warrants on the trade, meaning I'm simply a matchmaker. And in doing that, I got my money, and I didn't have to take on any problems with the deal. And I had to take my money and go over here and invest it how I wanted to invest it. So on a $5 million deal, that works out to about $50,000 in your pocket. Remember, you don't invest any of your own money. It all comes from the buyer or the fund. Okay, now some of you may say, Troy, this is so old and so many people talk about this and I've tried this before and it didn't work. Okay, I get it. But here's the simple truth. It may be old in nature, but it's still effective in business. Okay, it's still effective in business. And if it hasn't worked for you in the past, that's because you didn't try it and you didn't work it the way that I've worked the business. Okay? That's all I have to say about it. And that's not to beat anybody up or push anybody down, but that's just simply that. It would be like me saying, well, I bought these new golf clubs and I went out to the driving range and these things don't work. Well, Troy, those are Callaway golf clubs and Rory McIlroy doesn't have a problem hitting them, and he hits them pretty darn good, and Tiger Woods hits them pretty darn good. So it must be operator error. No, it can't be. It's got to be the clubs. Now I think it's probably operator error. So at that point in time, I have two choices. I can either blame the clubs, or I can learn how to hit the clubs and hit them really, really well. And then I get to enjoy the game of golf. Okay. Same thing is true in this business. You can either throw mud at the wall and hope something sticks, which a lot of people try to do, or you can learn how to do the business within the parameters of how the business truly functions, and you can create massive success for yourself, even if it's simple things like playing matchmaker. Okay. For the first 3 years of being in the business space, and still to this day, I do matchmaker deals for a lot of reasons. One is the deals don't always fit my matrix, number one. Number two, we may be short on cash and capital to buy a deal, So we'll simply matchmaker it off to another group. And in turn, when we get flush with cash again, we'll buy more stuff. But we also, in turn, when they get low on cash, they'll send us a deal. Okay, so it works very, very effectively across the board, back and forth. So what does this look like? Well, here's what a deal looks like. That looks like, and let me do something here. Let me bring. Hold on here, changing screens again. So here's a portfolio. This is a portfolio of 682 loans, non-performing loans. They're nationwide, everything from Alabama all the way down to, I think, all the way down into looks like Wisconsin, Wyoming area. So what we have here is we've got a $21 million portfolio. That's the unpaid principal balance. And what they're looking to sell it for is, sorry, I'm just scrolling so quickly, but $6.9 million. Okay, so it's a $21 million portfolio. It's got $2 million worth of back taxes. And it looks like, I'm not sure what this column is here. Let's go back up here to the top. BPO values is about 22 million. So you got 21 million in UPB, $22 million in value, and sales price is X. Now understand, the values here are all over the board. Okay, 2013, 2014. They're also what we call smaller balance trades or smaller balance loans, which means smaller balance loans are in trades are typically deals $70,000 and below. So now you can imagine a $70,000 home or a $50,000 home, and you can kind of imagine the area that it might be located in. And it's all relative to your experience, and it's all relative to the part of the country in which you live in, okay? But you can also see some $70,000 homes or $100,000 homes that are very, very nice throughout the country as well. So we don't judge the circumstances, and we're not judging the value. What we're looking at is, okay, is there an opportunity to make money in this? Well, if you got 22 million in value and you got $6 million price tag, there's an opportunity to make some great money there. And there's two ways to make money with non-performing loans when you own them. You can either, one, you can modify the loan and keep people in the house, which is our business model, or number two, you buy the loan with the intention of foreclosing on the property, getting the property back, and rehabbing it and reselling it and doing all that stuff, which is a whole nother business model. I don't choose to do that business model because it's very people intensive and it's very cost intensive. But I know some of you out there listening love that model, and I respect that. My dad is very much of that same mindset. He loves doing those kinds of things. Now you can see here in this particular spreadsheet, the subject types are all SFR, single family, condos. Here's a two family. And then the occupancies are vacant, occupied, vacant, occupied. Now, if you're sitting there going, well, Troy, how do you modify a loan if the house is vacant? You don't. That's a foreclosure loan. That's a loan that if we had to buy it in a portfolio, we would simply turn around and spin that loan off to an investor in that area. That's what we found to be the most effective way of what we do, which is great. If it's occupied, then that gives us the highest opportunity, the greatest opportunity to modify and remodify that loan. So if you're playing the role of matchmaker and you send us a portfolio, this is how we'd be viewing the whole thing. Where's the upside potential? Where's the financial risk? Where are we at in the process? Okay, how does this all line up? And right out of the gate, this deal's got good opportunity associated with it, even with the vacant properties. Okay, even with the vacant properties. Now, the other thing that you'll find in the business is in a portfolio of this size, 682 loans, you'll find that a lot of times the sellers will allow you to cherry pick through the loans. So they'll say, okay, yeah, feel free to cherry pick, and we may come in and buy segments of this particular portfolio. Which means that when we have the chance to cherry pick a portfolio, we'll immediately stay away from the vacant properties, and we'll just focus on the occupied properties. We'll also try and avoid states that are judicial states, like New York, Florida. Why do we avoid those states? Because New York there's a timeline. The average timeline for foreclosure in New York is about 2 years. Florida, it's about a year. Okay, so we don't necessarily want to, go through that process. But with this, as a whole, the person that brought this, they stand to make, hold on here, on a $6 million price tag, $6.9 million price tag for simple math, because my brain's not fully, I'm focused on other things right now. At 1%, you're talking about $69,000. Now, how many of these deals would you have to play matchmaker on to meet your financial goals for the year if you can make 1% on every deal, on 1% on every deal? And I'll tell you a little secret about the business. The majority of deals that take place in the area of street level investing, okay, what I mean in a street level investor to me is anybody except for Wall Street and the banks, is they typically are anywhere between the $15 million mark and the $2 million mark. Okay, that's kind of the sweet spot, what I would call the sweet spot as a whole. So that being said, if you're making 1 point on every deal, you stand to make $69,000 on this with zero financial risk and with zero out-of-pocket cost to doing the business. Okay, zero out-of-pocket cost as well. Now let's jump in here and let me show you option number 2. So the second way you benefit is you carve out some NPNs, what I like to call golden nuggets for your own portfolio. You build your own wealth through sweat equity. Okay, and this is how I got started acquiring notes for my own portfolio early on in my career. Somebody sat down and they showed this to me. I thought, okay, this is brilliant. This is brilliant. And what it provides and what it gives you an opportunity to do is to leverage your efforts in the role of a matchmaker, but also to capture 2 or 3 deals for yourself on every portfolio. And in a portfolio, like I just showed you, 600 plus loans, you could easily pick up 5 or 6 notes out of a portfolio that size. You might be even able to pick up more than that. I just haven't done the full-fledged numbers on it. But what it means here is you can create reoccurring monthly income. You receive monthly payments every month on the notes that you carve out for your own portfolio. On a $1 million performing note portfolio, that works out to about $8,046.23 per month for the next 20 years. So if you trade, let's just say you did 4 portfolios a year, okay, which to me is very much on the low side, but very, very obtainable. If you did 4 portfolios a year and you're able to capture 5 deals out of every portfolio, and let's say these are sizable portfolios, we're talking 300 assets per or more per trade. Okay, so they're sizable portfolios, and you can capture, anywhere between $100,000 and $200,000 worth of notes out of it. Okay, then you'll amass, and you get those notes back. You get those loans back to performing. Okay, this is using the mindset of turning those non-performing notes into performing notes. You do that, then you'll create an $8,000 per month income, plus or minus. Okay, it's going to be plus or minus depending upon the terms and the interest rates and things of that of each note. I used on this calculation, I think I used a 9% interest rate on this calculation, and people would pay you for the next 10, 20, 30 years on those notes. So you'd have a built-in residual cash flow that would happen every single month that would be parked with a note servicing company, and the note servicing company would in turn, send you money every single month. And you'd have zero cost invested in it, which means that your IRR, when you look at it from that perspective, would be over the top, Now, how do you go about doing that? Well, let's look at how to find some deals and keep for yourself. Let me bring back up the spreadsheet that we just saw, and I'm going to So here's the spreadsheet, and I'm just going to go through here, and let's look at this. Now I need to find one that's in an occupied state of mind. So everybody can see this. Let me double check, make sure. Yeah, everybody can see this. And here's a deal out of Anniston, Alabama. So I'm going to write down some notes here, and then I'm going to show you software that shows you how to run your numbers so that you know that you're setting aside a good deal for yourself. Now, how does this all work? Well, simply stated, the portfolio is going to come to you first. You can look over the portfolio and say, okay, I've identified these 5 loans, and I want to keep these for myself. Okay, so you want to identify these 5 loans, you want to keep these for yourself. And with that in mind, you can in turn highlight those, or you can remove them from the portfolio. Just simply cut and paste it, put it in a separate portfolio. At the end of the day, it's not going to impact the overall unpaid principal balance that much. But what it will do is when you close the deal, okay, and when you work with us, we'll let you do this, okay? When we close the deal, you can say, okay, Troy, I set these 5 loans aside for myself. I want to keep these, but somebody needs to pay for these. And so in order to pay for these, my commission, that 1% commission, that $69,000 commission, I figured out here I owe about $8,000 on these 4 or 5 notes. So I want to subtract the $8,000 out of the 69. So I'm going to take my $61,000 commission and these 5 notes. Now the 5 notes as a whole, if you look at this one here we've got, we've got UPB is 5,001.94. That's UPB. Okay, the value on it 700. Well, that's the tax assessed value. It's got taxes owed of $245, which you would be responsible for paying. Okay, and then we go over here. Last payment was 2011. Put that down here. Last payment was 9/11. Okay. And then The value on this BPO is $61,000, and it's occupied, single family, and it's in good shape. Now the sales price on this is sales price is $3,501.00. Okay, that's your sales price, which is equal to about 5.74% of BPO. Okay, now you may be sitting and saying, well, wait a minute, Troy, if I pay $3,501 on $5,000 worth of unpaid principal balance, I'm way, way up there. And mathematically speaking, you're absolutely correct. But what's not included in the unpaid principal balance is the last payment was 2011. So you're talking 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, plus all the taxes, plus all the penalties, plus. Now, with that being said, that $5,000 balance very easily can jump right up. And I don't see the payment amounts here. They didn't put that in the spreadsheet, and they didn't put the current interest rate on this either. But that could very easily jump up to, a $12,000, $15,000 unpaid principal balance loan, which you would have the legal right to collect upon. Okay, you would have the legal right to collect upon if you went to foreclosure. Now, here's the beauty of it. Going in there and doing a loan modification on this is really, really simple when you show the owner of the property, hey, this property is worth $61,000. You legally owe us, because you haven't made a payment since 2011, you legally owe us $15,000 on the deal. And so what you simply do is you modify that loan. But you've got a $61,000 asset, which now plays into your net worth. Okay, your net worth just jumped right up there. You'd end up having a net worth overall of $61,000 minus your, couple $1,000 investment, which is a $3,500 investment, and actually plus taxes. You'd end up having about a $3,700 investment. Now, mind you, you didn't borrow the $3,700. You worked for it. You did some sweat equity on the deal. You got the deal done. So you use that, and in turn, now you've got something of greater value instantaneously. The question then becomes, hey, do you want $69,000 or do you want $61,000 in 5 notes? Because I can easily find 5 similar notes to this nature, and if I went in there and I found 5 notes at around $60,000 a piece, I'd be looking at a pretty substantial net worth increase of about $300,000 with zero out-of-pocket cash. Now all of a sudden, all I can do is get them back to modified, which is easy to do when they're owner-occupied, and all of a sudden, boom, here comes cash flow. Okay, and it's easy once they're modified and they're making payments to recoup that $8,000 investment. You'll recoup it within the first 12 months of having that cash flow. So now you've got what's called zero cost of capital. You're also doing what they call in Vegas playing on house money. Okay, playing on house money. So you get the best of both worlds. With that being said, let me reduce this. I'm going to bring out my software here that spits out all the amazing things that are going to happen. All right. So here's a software that we use inside of our office. When we look at a deal, and it tells us everything we need to do. Okay, so I'll go in here and I'm going to do this live for you. So we looked at that one property, and it was 610, Old GADSDEN highway, and it was in a Alabama. I don't know the year built, so we'll just leave that alone. Unpaid principal balance on this was $5,001.94. Quick days. Let's do current market value. They say 61,000. Now, mind you, that's also an old BPO, so property value might be more than that at this point. Okay. And let's say quick sale value on this is 30-day quick sale value, $50,000. I usually use about 80% of whatever its value is. Okay, given the fact that what we have is what we have, we're just going to run some quick numbers for you. So we got days on market. I don't know what that is as far as for that area yet, so we'll just put 0. Payment, that's not the payment amount because we don't know what the interest rate was. Total payoff, average, rears, UPB, 48. So what it's doing here, let's put 5002.00. Original loan amount, I don't know what it was, but let's put in here $20,000. Because there's some unknowns. So original appraisal, let's just say 30,000. Current rate, that's coming up from over here. So we'll get over there in just a moment. Now what this does, hold on here. I don't know why it's doing that. So we got 5,000 current terms, 5,000 30-year interest rate 9.9%. But that's based on the unknown, which is we don't know what the original loan amount was. So even though we have a spreadsheet, the goal and the objective here is to make sure that there's an opportunity. Now we have to fine tune the numbers when we get into the due diligence side of it, and we'll always come back and recheck our numbers. But because there's no consistency factor when it comes to putting together a spreadsheet and putting them out into the marketplace for offers, when sellers are seeking offers, there's no continuity to any of them, that there's always going to be an unknown factor in phase one. What's phase one? I'm looking at a spreadsheet, I'm pricing the deal out with some unknowns as a whole. Okay, so that's phase one. Phase 2 and 3, phase 2 is due diligence, checking the numbers, finding out the original loan amounts, title values, updated titles, updated tax certificates, all that is in due diligence. And then phase 3 is closing the deal. Okay, so some of this is going to be skewed as a whole. But let's just go in here and if we did, what if, I picked $20,000 as the loan amount, so that'd be 174. Projected terms from an amortization schedule. Okay, so let's say we go in here and we tally up all the back payments, all the taxes that were paid from other sellers, all the penalties, interest, all the legal costs, all of those things. And at the end of the day, it totals up to $18,000. Okay, I'm just using round numbers here. And we put it on a 30-year term at a 8% interest rate, and it makes their payment $132 a month for 30 years. Now, we can easily come in here and we say, okay, I don't want to do 30 years for this guy because $132 a month, it's not overly exciting. So I'm going to do 240 months, which you can easily do. Let's see here. 20 years. Got to change it there. Okay, there it goes. Jumps up to 150. Let's just say we did it in 10 years. What would that look like? 218. Okay, now you're talking. Okay, 10-year loan, $218 a month. I wouldn't do it would be 120 months. So that's what it would be due. The total yield over that time period would be 45.69%, just over that time period. Now that's just focusing in this area. And some of these are assumed numbers. Okay, some of these are assumed numbers. But I'm telling you that I'm pretty darn close when I look at these types of deals and the number of deals I've done over the years. I'm plus or minus usually about 10-15% on numbers as a whole. So taking this and applying this to the overall picture, there's some key things that need to be put in place. Offer to acquire the note, they want $3,501.00. Okay, $3,501.00. So there are several options that this software gives me. It actually gives me 12 different options. Number one is you got to put in your current disposition and where things stand. We put in loan amount there of 20. We used 18 over there, but that's okay. We've got what we call we got the foreclosure process. Okay, sales price at 90% of 30-day foreclosure. So if we went in there and we said, Mr. Homeowner, you know, we want to make this thing good with you. We want to get you back on track. And they're just absolutely no. We're not doing any of those things. Well, okay, you know, sorry to hear that. But if you're not going to modify it with us, you don't want to work with us to modify, then you leave us no other choice than to foreclose. Now, like I said, I don't usually foreclose on properties because it's not a big money maker for us. I'd rather just sell the note to somebody else and let them handle the legal cost and everything else. Because at the end of the foreclosure process, you know, the chances are you're going to end up with that note back. Now, there's ways of avoiding that. And you don't really want to get properties put into your company name, because then the city departments and county departments and stuff start coming after you or me for all kinds of things like, you know, code violations and condition of the property and taxes and, you know, you name it. Okay, all of a sudden we have a bullseye on our back. But with this being said, because the price of the house is $61,000, if I sell it 90% of the 30-day quick sale value, so let's say I get $45,000 at the sheriff's sale auction, then I do cash for keys, which is 3 times payment amount, which is right here, it's 131. So I've got to tweak some numbers over here on the right side to get that to calculate up correctly. And then miscellaneous out of pocket, about 3%, so about $1,300. And then listing and other costs, about 7%. So you want to put all your costs in there, whether you plan on listing it or not. I like to sell them at the courthouse steps if I'm going to do it, and I price it so that they do sell at the courthouse steps. Okay, I don't want it coming back. I don't want any bullseyes on my back. Well, that being said, your estimated ROI on an investment of this nature is 995%. So you're looking at a $36,000 profit just on that one way of doing it. Now there's the trustee sale, which is down here. You can also go over here and do Hope for Homeowners, and you can refi it, which would create a greater return. The software shows that. You can go over here and do a short/family sale. So let's say, you know, as a private investor, I can help them sell the property to another family member and cash out, whereas institutional investors don't like doing that. You know, meaning the banks and stuff, they don't like that whole thing. Me, I don't really care. I bought it at a $5,000 price tag, or I'm sorry, $3,500 price tag, and I've got all kinds of wiggle room to play in the deal. I can also just turn around and I can sell the note. So in other words, I can mark the note up 75%. I can sell it. Let me hold on. Note sales price would be $6,451 because I could show the overall balance of the deal. And at the end of the day, make quick $2,600. Now I could do that, and I can do that in 30 days or less. Okay, so I make a 71% return on my money. Okay, now are we knocking the cover off the ball when we do that? Not in this particular case, no. But other cases, other opportunities you would make obviously more money in that environment. So Hope for Homeowners would be a refi opportunity. For those of you that are out there, you guys are rehab investors. You can buy the property or buy the note, foreclose on it, go through the rehab process on this whole thing, do your cash for keys, listing and other costs, And rehab cost 15%. Total rehab about $7,500, which is kind of in line with this type of a house. Total cost to sell about $12,631. Total cash out of pocket $16,317. Profit ought to be about $33,000, which ultimately give you a return of ROI on this of $913,000 or 913%. Okay, kind of cruising through this pretty quickly because it's just one aspect of the webinar I want to share with you today. But if you're working with somebody that's in a performing BK, it also calculates that. Also reinstatement, reperforming reinstatement, partial reinstatement, reperforming note sale. So let's say you kept the note, you got it back to performing status, and you wanted to sell it. Well, what would that look like? Okay, well, here's what it would look like. You'd be looking at a return of an ROI on it about 184%. Deed and lieu. Okay, for those of you like deed and lieu, here it calculates the whole thing out, about 1,076%. Modifications, mod for cash flow, interest hold, you're looking at about 112% return on your money. Now, mind you, this money, that $3,500 money, that's not money. That's not like cash out of your pocket. That's just money that you traded for sweat equity. Okay, so if you put in there offer to acquire a note, if you put it down to zero, okay, because you're really just trading house money on the deal, these formulas would just skyrocket. But that's the truth. Okay, that's the truth behind it as a whole. You know, it's kind of like what my kids do. You know, we go to the store or something, and they're like, "Hey, Dad, can I have $1?" I'm like, "Well, for what?" "So I can buy this Hot Wheels car." Well, the reality of it is they just bought that Hot Wheels car with my money that I worked for, but their investment in that is zero as a whole. So at the end of the day, they got zero cost of capital in that Hot Wheels car. Same thing is with you here. Now, this software breaks it down over here on the right side, and it shows all the different workout options: family sale, deed in lieu, foreclosure rehab, quick sale, trustee, full or partial reinstatement, family sale. This is if they want to stay in the home. Okay. Mod to short pay refi, mod to note sale, interest only hold. So you can see at a glance exactly where those are. Now, those numbers will change as the file progresses through due diligence and closing, and you get into the modification process. But when you're starting out at these kinds of numbers, even if they go down, that's okay, because these are amazing returns in general. So you're not gonna shed a tear. You're not gonna cry over spilled milk here. The opportunity is huge. The question is, how big is it? The opportunity is, how big is it? So this is how you pick out some golden nuggets for yourself. You modify the loan. You put it in your own portfolio, and then you go on to the next deal. But modifying the loan, you using our software to do that. And by using our software to do it, it roadmaps all of your successful strategies that you can use. And it keeps them in place so that you go in with the spirit of, okay, I'm going to modify this loan. And the homeowner says, no, I just want to sell the house. I want to do a short sale. Or I want to sell it to a family member. Or, I want to do a deed in lieu. We don't like this home anymore. We don't like the school district anymore. So we're moving anyways. So we'll just give you a deed in lieu. Okay, well, you've already got the formulations to know literally at a glance how you're gonna benefit from those options instantaneously. That's the value of having this kind of software at your fingertips. Changing screens. Promise, it won't change screens anymore. Okay, so the third way you benefit. Okay, now we just talked about the second way. Okay, finding some golden nuggets, keeping them for yourself, trading some sweat equity. Instead of making 69,000 on a deal of this nature, you make 61, you give up 8, but you got some notes for your own portfolio. Okay, you still get cash to pay your bills, to live, to go on vacation and do all that, but now all of a sudden your net worth just jumped up. Okay, now you're starting to build your own portfolio. That's the second way. Then we jump over here to the third way to benefit, is what I call big lump sum paydays. People in our industry call them equity kickers or mailbox money. Here's how it works. Every time a homeowner refis or sells their home, you'll receive a payoff on the note that you own. When the loan is paid off, you will receive the above market returns ranging from 20 to 60% from being the owner of the note. Okay, this is a very, very common reality in our business. We receive several of these per month in our office. Okay, people call us all the time. Hey, we're refining our home, we're selling our home. Can you give us a payoff? Yeah, sure, no problem. Here you go. And all of a sudden we get this lump sum check. Okay, it's equal to, if you go back to the software, it's equal to like a short sale. Okay, those are the kind of returns. Now I put in 20 to 60% because I don't want to overinflate the opportunity in the space, but I want to let you know that the opportunity in the space is greater than your normal avenues that people are involved in. Okay, normal avenues that people are involved in. So there are 3 steps to becoming an NPN investor. Number 1, you have to be able to find deals which equal opportunity flow. Step 2, you have to have money/investors, which equals sweat equity paydays. And then step 3, you have to be able to get the deal closed and get paid. Okay. So step 1, if you're starting from scratch, then the easiest way to find deals is to go directly to the sellers. So who's selling deals? Who's in trouble? Well, simply stated, the banks, the asset management firms, and servicing companies. I use a specialized industry database that gives me direct access to the decision makers inside the banks, credit unions, and asset management and servicing firms that control the liquidation process of the residential NPNs. I'll show you how to gain access to this later. Okay, but simply stated is I've got an entire database that we tap into. Okay, and we go to and we work it and we reach out to these people. We let them know, hey, we're here. We're here. There's 7,800 banks in the country. Not to mention there's about 2,000 asset management firms and there's about 1,200 servicing companies. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. And if you think about it, most people have about 150 friends on their Facebook page, and that's a lifetime of friends. That, so if you put that in comparison to a business, there's a lot of opportunity out there in the space. The question is, who's going to go after it? Who's going to go after it? Because they're going to be here for the next several years. If Fannie Mae and the industry were to just sell off $10 billion worth of notes into the market space every year, you're looking at close to 50 years worth of inventory. Close to 50 years worth of inventory to get through. And the reality of it is they can't just dump it all into the market space all at once, because that would render some financial institutions, some big time players, financial institutions, it would render them insolvent. And if you think that the 2008, 2009, 2007 economic crash was tough, this will be a heck of a lot tougher. So it has to be kind of spoon-fed or dripped into the market space as a whole, which is, hey, you know what? That's perfect, because then the opportunity is not there for a weekend or for a week or for a month or for a year. It's there for years to come. So now there's an opportunity to build a business around that entire space and know that there's a longevity factor to it. That there's a longevity factor. It's not the shiny object syndrome, or what I like to call the squirrel syndrome. Step 2, price out the deal. This stage, when you identify a portfolio, now it's a matter of just presenting it to an investor. The investor will price out the deal for you. And bottom line is, I'm willing to purchase all the first lien NPNs that you find and bring to me for pricing. Okay, I've got $100 million sitting on the sidelines ready to be deployed into this space. And so we're looking for non-performing notes on a nationwide basis. Okay, we're looking for. We want to compensate people. We want to work with people that are like-mindedness, okay, and are go-getters like ourselves. And then step 3 is simply we handle all the underwriting and the closing, okay? Underwriting consists of gathering the initial paperwork for the buyer. Buyer will do the due diligence on all the files. Closing will take place after due diligence is completed, and you'll be paid the time, your fee at that time. The buyer will set up the closing place and date. Okay, so when we get into a deal, we contract for the deal on the front side. This portfolio, as an example, we contract for it at the $6.9 million price tag. Let's say we agree on a 1% fee with you. We offer to pay you $69,000 for your fee and bring in the deal. We get, at that point in time, you're contracted, we're contracted with you, we're contracted with the seller. We then go into due diligence. We order up new BPOs, we order up new title work, we order up tax certificates, all of those things. Once all of those things are in, and on a portfolio of 600 plus assets, that's going to take about 45 days to get through. Okay, it's going to require a team of people to do it. And we've got the team that can pull that off. I mean, the largest portfolio we've ever underwritten at one time was over 3,000 notes at one time. So we've got the capacity to do it. My point here in that is, I had to grab some water there. My point is, you don't have to do anything. Now, if you've isolated 4 or 5 deals for yourself, you're going to need to underwrite those ones yourself. Now, we'll guide you. We'll review what you find. We'll show you how to do those kinds of things, okay, as part of the overall process. But we do it once we set up, once it's we've done all of our due diligence, things check out, we set it up for closing. We close the deal. We get all of our originals in. You get your fee, okay? Now, the 4 or 5 that you bought, we're going to have to isolate those outside of the portfolio. We know how to do those kinds of things, and we'll work with our students to do those kinds of things, okay? We want to see you grow your business, okay? And as you can tell, I'm not afraid of you taking money out of my pocket. There's so much money on the table, there's no reason to be greedy, okay? There's no reason to be greedy. This is a very, very small trade in the big scheme of things. Okay, in the big scheme of things, this is a very, very small trade. So what does this mean, and what kind of results have come from this model and being in this space? Well, here's a testimony, just one of many that I've gotten here, but one of my best decisions. Troy, I wanted to thank you for showing me how to really work the NPN business. Because of you, I was able to close my very first NPN pool trade and got paid over $32,000 on my first deal. This will change how I look at the note business forever. Tom W. from New York, New York. Thanks a million. Many thanks for the opportunity to be part of your groundbreaking course and your willingness to go the extra mile by totally reinventing this industry, and in the process sharing it so unselfishly with all of us sets you apart from the rest of the people you find in the internet, and for that matter, those you find in the business in general. I also want to thank you for the $18,000 wire that I received from you on the Bella Capital portfolio. This will help me get out of debt completely, which was one of my goals this year. I'll be sending you a new tape next week. Mike M. from Florida. Okay, this is just a couple of the successes in this space that we've had. And I've got more. I could certainly put up another 15, 20 testimonials, but that's not really what I'm here to do. What I'm really here to do is to identify some people that want to come into this space, because I'm going to reopen the doors to train up some more people in this space so that they can benefit from the opportunity that is right in front of us and live and in person, as I showed you on Bloomberg and DS News. This is what's going on, okay? And the world is starting to talk about it. The news media outlets are talking about it, and now all of a sudden it's going to get busy very, very quick. But the good thing about it is, now that I've shown you several ways to make money with NPNs, I want to show you how to cash in on everything that I just showed you. I'm looking for hardworking, highly motivated professionals that are interested in becoming an inner circle partner with me in my $100 million distressed asset fund. I have more money than deals, and I'm looking to make several partners very, very wealthy. So getting started in the Npn Pro Training. Okay, this is an instant access, all material, on-demand training. It consists of 6 modules that are pre-recorded training. So it's an on-demand training, and it's there. Okay, it's ready to go. There's no issues. We've gotten through some internet challenges in the past, and everything is dialed in. And this is one that is an on-demand training, and it's 6 modules. Okay, straight up 6 modules. I've decided to do this as a pre-recorded training so that everyone can get up to speed quickly, and so you'll have immediate access to over 10 hours of training that you can learn from at your own pace. Okay, this training requires no traveling, no hotel bills, no extra cost, and no time away from your family. Module 1, and this is what will be covered, I'm going to show you an inside look at what the current industry conditions are and where you can find an unlimited number of deals each month. Okay, I'm going to show you things that will keep you busy finding deals for the next 2 or 3 years. Okay, for the next 2 or 3 years. Because when people say, oh, I can't find deals, that's hogwash. That's hogwash. And I'm going to show you exactly where they're at. Now, then it's a matter of you just going and capitalizing on it. Module 2, I'm going to show you how to work directly with banks, servicing companies, asset management companies to make sure they call you first when they have product for sale, and how to get your number on their speed dial. Module number 3, I'm going to show you how to restructure deals for maximum autopilot profits using my proprietary industry software to create 12 different types of profit from every NPN you find. This is worth the price of admission by itself. Okay, I already demoed the software to a certain degree, but there's so much more to it that I didn't even have a chance to get to today. Okay, Module 4, Portfolio Buying 101 and determining the value of a deal. I'm going to show you how to carve out some NPNs from any trade for your own portfolio and how to create profit from each NPN that you carve out. Here's where I give you a 2015 list of real NPN buyers and sellers. Okay, I don't care what anybody says. Okay, I've been at this 18 years. There's only about a dozen of us, about a dozen to 18 of us that are actually in the space, that are check writers in the space, and that's critical to creating success for yourself. Okay, that's critical, and I'm going to show you who those other buyers are so that you can do business with them too. Okay, so you can do business with them too. I'd love to do all the business in the world with you, but the reality of it is I'm not afraid of sharing other people contacts of mine, and I know that they're going to treat you really, really well. Okay, module number 5, I'm going to show you contract review and how to underwrite NPNs from banks and the government to make sure you're not buying limit. Okay, we're going to handle the due diligence on things that we're buying, but I also want to show you what that looks like so you can do it on your own as well. Okay, that's only going to help your knowledge base in the space of non-performing notes. Module 6, investing and working with hedge funds and how to put NPNs into your IRA to save money on taxes and to build your retirement account. Okay, I didn't even get into this in today's call, but let's say you've got 4 or 5 deals that you picked out of that portfolio, and you don't really want those in your personal name. You want those to go into your IRA so that all that money funnels in there with tax benefits. Okay, do that. I'm going to show you how to do those kinds of things. I'm going to hook you up with some of the best IRA companies out there in the market space that will guide you personally. Okay, so this isn't just a module, it's a module, and then I'm going to put you with a team of people that are going to help you create and manifest your goals in the IRA space, okay, which I think everybody should be doing personally, okay? So I want to throw in some bonuses. Matter of fact, I want to throw in $14,500 worth of bonuses for you, okay? And I'm going to do it for those people that are taking action today, because I can't keep the bonuses open forever and ever and ever. But these are powerful bonuses, and these are tools and resources that you're going to need to have to create the success that you are looking for in the non-performing note space. Number one, I'm going to give you a list of title companies, okay, that do business in this space, so they understand it. Okay, that's got a $1,000 value. I'm also going to give you a list of servicing companies. Okay, not all servicing companies are created equal. Okay, not all servicing companies are created equal, and some servicing companies don't want anything to do with non-performing notes. Okay, but I've got an isolated group of servicing companies that I've worked with in the past that I think are great staffing. They've got great customer service, and they're going to be willing to help you remodel or remod your portfolio and help you grow your business. Okay, so that's a $1,000 value. I'm gonna give you a list of BPO providers. Okay, there's some good ones and some bad ones out there. I've identified all the good ones that I'm going to give you a list. That's a $1,000 value. Okay, I'm going to give you a list of O&E report firms. Okay, O&E reports are imperative as part of due diligence. Okay, you'll have that. That's another $1,000 value. I'm going to hook you up with some people that will do the due diligence services for you. Okay, if you're sitting here saying, Troy, I'm not a paper guy. Okay, I'm not a paper shuffler. I don't get into all the contract law and all that other stuff. How can I get this done? Well, due diligence services are companies that will do that for you. Okay, they'll take your file, they'll do everything that needs to be done. They'll come back and say, okay, you're ready to go. Okay, $1,000 value right there. And then I'm going to hook you up with a list of loss mitigation specialists. Okay, if you don't consider yourself a great negotiator and modifying loans and stuff like that, that's not a problem. There's people out there that'll do that for you. Okay, they'll hook you up. They'll get your loan remodified and put back together and paperwork in place and point you in the right direction. Okay, that in itself is a $3,000 value. Okay, those people are like platinum. Okay, they're like platinum. They're like diamond level players because they're the ones that are going to take your investment and get it back to performing ASAP. Okay, and then some more bonuses. I'm going to give you a list of nationwide property tax records. Okay, I'm going to show you how to access property tax records nationwide. $1,000 value. Foreclosure laws for all 50 states. Okay, that's important. Foreclosure laws, $1,000 value. It's good to know. I don't know all the laws in all 50 states. I personally don't study them. When I have to do a foreclosure in that state, I will contact somebody who's proficient in that state and the foreclosure laws. I let them do what they do best. I do what I do best. But I'm going to hook you up with that. So if you want to read about those things, you can. Homeowner record search, okay? So skip trace services and things of that nature to look people up, okay? $500 value. List of default services. These are default services are companies that actually handle foreclosures. They can do it on a local level. They can do it on a nationwide level, okay? Another $1,000 value. And then I'm going to show you how to work with home values in applied analytics, okay? $3,000 value. This is the world of math, okay? And part of understanding your investment is understanding the projections and the analytics behind it, okay? And I'm going to show you how to put that together and how that works, okay? As a whole, for those of you that are mathematically inclined and who are very analytical, this is your cherry on top when it comes down to this, okay? I'm also putting together an action taker bonus, okay? For those of you that take action, okay, we're going to open the doors, and then I'm going to be shutting them down here after a short while, okay? I'm going to shut them down after a short while, but what I want to do is I want to get everybody on board who wants to be a part of this, and I want to reward them for taking action, and I'm going to do 30 days worth of weekly trainings. Okay, I'm going to do 30 days worth of weekly trainings that you're going to be a part of, and we're going to talk about this business, okay, specifically this business as a whole. And I'm going to provide a weekly coaching / training call for everyone that takes action. On these calls, I'll be doing extensive deal reviews and case studies on real-world NPN trades, and I will open it up for Q&A time on each call. So it's not just hearing me talk. It's an interaction between you and me. And by the way, the next training is just a couple days away. Okay, it's just a couple days away. It's at the beginning of the week, so it's going to be available. You sign up now, you get to be a part of that training right away. I want to get things moving. Go. Okay, that's my focus. So let's recap on how you benefit by being a part of this partnership. Number one, you gain access, you gain a tier one access to a multi-million-dollar business partner. Okay. And I'm referring to me. And you say, well, Troy, you're kind of a little egocentric there, aren't you? No, I'm not egocentric at all. I'm just very confident. I've been in this space for 18 years. I've done over $1 billion in transactional history. I kind of know what I'm doing in this space. Now, if you want to talk about playing golf, that's a whole other thing. I would not consider myself to be a tier one golf trainer. Okay, that's not my forte. Number two, you receive cutting edge proprietary software to keep, along with free software updates for life to help build your portfolio. Okay, so if we change that software up, or we add some stuff, and we will give you a copy for free. Okay, as a matter of fact, it'll be part of your training. And then number three, you instantly receive $14,500 in high value industry bonuses and private industry connections. Okay, this is absolutely imperative to being successful in this space. So when I was talking about in the very beginning about people who have tried to succeed in this space, they didn't succeed because they're missing these ingredients. Okay, they're missing these ingredients. And because it's like kind of baking a cake without an egg. Yeah, you might get the cake baked, but it's not going to taste very good, and it's probably not going to function very well, and it might be kind of hard, and yeah, it's still a cake, but it's not a very good tasting cake. And if you're missing just that one ingredient, then it just doesn't turn out right. More partner benefits. You'll receive lifetime access to unlimited deal flow. Okay, this is not a 30-day, 45-day, 60-day, 90-day process where all of a sudden the industry is going to go poof and go away. Okay, we're dealing with institutional players who have been around for forever, longer than I have, and will probably be around long after I'm gone as a whole. But the point of the whole thing is that I'm going to show you how to get lifetime access. So you should never, ever be without deal flow. You should never, ever be without an opportunity. So if you need to make $20,000 a month or $30,000 a month or $10,000 a month or $50,000 a month, you should no longer have an excuse on why you can't create that. Okay, on why you can't create that. And then you receive instant access to a full set of training modules the minute you take action and sign up. And then number six, you gain access to an 18-year veteran that will mentor you for a one-time cost. So what is the one-time cost? Well, very simply stated, Non-Performing Notes Pro is a limited one-time single payment price of $697. Okay, I had a price at $1997. I've dropped the price to $697 because the opportunity is here, and I want people to seize that opportunity and to start getting and building a business around the largest segment of residential real estate ever to exist in our lifetime. Okay, in our lifetime. But for $697, you can go to www.npnpro.com/offer. Okay, so you can go to www.npnpro.com/offer. And you'll see down towards the bottom of the page, you'll see a $697 tab. You can click on that. If $697 is a little outside of your budget right now, there's also a 2-pay option. And it's a half payment today and a half payment in 30 days. Now it's a little bit more expensive because I'm financing the deal for you. But instead of $697, it's a $797 price point. But it's half today and half in 30 days. Now, I always like making sure that we stand behind everything that we do. And I want to give an 100% unconditional, says, well, I guess conditional in some aspects, money back guarantee. We're ready to prove everything we claim. My guarantee to you is this: I will pay you back the cost of the training on your very first deal you invest in the training. Follow my instructions, bring me a deal, and I'll close the deal and pay you your fee plus the cost of the training. Or, okay, I always like giving a 2-part guarantee. Within 30 days, okay, if you feel that within 30 days the training is not everything that I've just showed you, let me know and I will refund your money 100%. Okay, this equals zero risk to you. I'm invested in your success, or you. So you have choice A and choice B. So, you love the training, you're building your business, you're out there, you close a deal, you get paid plus the cost of the training. You go into this, you say, 3-4 days into it, you're like, Troy, this training stinks. I don't want to do it, and give me my money back. No problem. Here's your money back. Okay. Now, all I ask is that you operate with honesty and integrity. Okay. Don't come in and buy the training and take my materials and my modules and my software and stuff, and then ask for your money back. That's an integrity issue. Okay. That's an integrity issue. And when we find people doing those kinds of things, to be really honest with you, we remove you from our database, and we just don't ever do business with you again. Okay. It's a one-time bite at the apple when I look at it. Okay. So that very seldom ever happens. I'm sure those of you that are listening are not planning on doing anything like that, but let's treat each other with respect. Let's treat each other and work together. Let's build something. As you can see, okay, by the offer alone, I make a lot more money closing deals than I do selling trainings. Okay. But the trainings are designed and built and assembled with one thing in mind, and that is to teach people the correct way to do the business based on our experience, based on our track record, based on our successes, but to shorten their learning curve, and then number two, to leverage my time. Okay? If I had to teach each and every one of you on a one-on-one session, I'd probably be spending you'd probably be spending anywhere between $25,000 to $75,000 just to buy my time. Okay. And obviously not a lot of people can afford that kind of price point. Now, the simplicity of it is we put this together where it's put together, it's ready to go, it's there for you. And at a price point of $697, not to mention the guarantees that stand behind it, you're very well protected. Now, the entire responsibility is in your court, okay? Because we're going to do our part. We're going to give you all the materials. We're going to give you all the trainings. We're going to give you all the accesses and the software. And we're going to do our weekly coaching calls, and we're going to do those things and help you. We're going to sow into you. We're going to pour into you. And then it's just simply up to you to take action. And as long as you take action, you'll reap those benefits. And as I explained to you and showed to you on today's call, that taking action could be a $69,000 payday. That's a pretty small portfolio in the big scheme of things. Okay, in the big scheme of things, that's a very small portfolio. So I'm only going to keep this open for a couple of days. Okay. And once we do it for a couple of days, we're going to close it back down. We're not going to allow anybody else to come into the training because I want to focus on that core group of people. Okay. I want to help them accomplish what they're looking for. And I can't do it for 200 people, and I can't do it for 300 people. That would not be realistic for me to do. And it would not be fair to everybody else. So we are going to open this up. The doors are open. The buy button is live. So all you have to do is go to the website at www.npnpro.com/offer. Go to the site. You'll see the site. You'll see the all the guarantees. You'll see the modules laid out. You'll see more testimonies. You'll see all the things that are a part of the training. And then you see the buy button at the end. Click on the buy button. Take action. Be a part of it. Because when I come back and if I promote this again, if I open the doors again, it'll be later on this year. Okay, it'll be down the road, and there'll be even more testimonials in here. And you could be one of those people that has your testimonial, and you can be talking about the money that you made, or not. Okay, but I've done my part. I've delivered this to you on a silver platter. I've put it in front of you. The opportunity's there. Now it's a matter of just taking overall action and implementing it, okay, as a whole. Go to www.npnpro.com/offer. Price is $697. It's marked down from $1997. which is a substantial discount. But my mindset behind that is that the reasonable price point, okay, allows more people to take action and be a part of it. The more deals we can close, the more money you and I make closing deals in general. So I want to focus on closing deals, not making money off of training. You see, that's the difference between how we operate our business and how other people operate theirs. So that's why we do it this way. Well, with that being said, I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank everybody for their time. I know I've covered a lot on this webinar, but that's because the business is just such a huge business. It's a big, big business. I can't stress that enough to you. But for those of you that are there, we've seen some sales come in. We appreciate those. There'll be more sales coming in. And then once we reach a certain period, then we're going to close it down and not open it up anymore for several months. It'll probably be a good 4, 5, 6 months down the road before we open it up again. But you can go to www.npnpro.com/offer. With that, I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank everybody for spending time with me today. I hope everybody has an amazing day, a great week. Take care. God bless. Bye now.